Two surfaces, one product. On web, the subscribe page converts at around 3 to 5%. On mobile, under 1%. Same subscription, wildly different numbers. A team saw this and almost rebuilt the entire mobile payment flow. In this case, I'll show you why that number was never comparable and how a single misread metric can trigger a very expensive mistake. Picture a social network with a premium subscription. Users can upgrade on the web app and inside the mobile app. The product team pulls the subscription data to see how each surface is doing, and immediately something looks off. The two surfaces are telling completely different stories. Here is what surprised them. Web had roughly twice as many users on the platform, but web showed about 3 times fewer views on the subscribe page, and yet web produced about 3 times more subscribers and payments than on mobile apps. More payments from fewer page views. That's the anomaly that kicked everything off. Put it at one number, page view to paid conversion. On web, it ran a healthy 3 to 5%. On mobile, it was under 1%, 5 times worse. On the surface, where most of the traffic lived, if you only look at this slide, mobile looks broken. So the team did what most teams do. They reached for the most obvious explanation. Maybe people just don't trust paying on mobile. Maybe the payment sheet feels sketchy. Maybe the checkout is too clunky on a small screen. All reasonable guesses, all about the payment experience. And they started acting on it. A whole workstream to fix a problem they had diagnosed from a single ratio, redesign the mobile checkout and add trust pages, run A/B tests on the payment flow, weeks of engineering and design, all pointed at mobile payments. That's a big bet to place on a guess. Before you rebuild a funnel, you have to ask a much simpler question: who is actually walking into it? Because the conversion rate isn't just about the page, it's about the people arriving at it. The real explanation had nothing to do with trust or the payment sheet or App Store fees. It came down to one word: intent. The two surfaces weren't sending the same kind of people to the page, not even close. On web, the subscribe page basically just existed. There were no banners shouting at you, no push notification pulling you in. To land on it, you had to go looking for it. So almost everyone who opened it already wanted to subscribe. High intent, small crowd, and a conversion rate that looks great. Mobile was the opposite. The subscribe page was everywhere. Banners in the feed, push notifications, upsell prompts, buttons scattered across the app. All of that dragged in huge numbers of low intent tags. People who never intended to pay, and the conversion rate collapses even if the page is perfectly fine. So look at what actually changed. It's the same page, the same product, the same payment. What differs is the crowd feeding into it. Web sends a small high intent trickle, mobile sends a fluid, most of it low intent. Same numerator quality, wildly different denominator. And the math makes it obvious. Conversion rate is payments divided by page views. Mobile didn't have fewer payments per interested users. It had a denominator stuffed with low intent views. The number dropped because of how traffic was sourced, not because of payment friction. So here is the lesson, and it's bigger than this one company. You can't compare conversion rates across surfaces when the traffic behind them has different intent. A higher rate isn't automatically a better funnel. Sometimes it just means a poorer crowd. Comparing the two raw numbers almost sent this team on a month-long fix for a problem that didn't exist. One honest caveat before we move on: the intent story explains why the page views conversion rate was incomparable. The case is closed. But look at the row scale. Web has twice users, yet 3 times the payments. That means web converts its own user base to pay it at about 1.5 times mobile's rate. even after you strip out the view level intent mix. That gap isn't checkout friction and it isn't the metric line. It's a real separate question. Is mobile surfacing the paywall to its generally interested users as well as web does? Fixing the bad metric didn't close the investigation, it pointed it at the right question instead of the wrong one. So, how do you avoid this trap in your own product? Four things: segment by intent, not just by platform. Compare like for like traffic sources. Always ask what's feeding the denominator. And remember, a higher rate isn't always the better funnel. Do this, and a scary number becomes a question instead of a panic. This is work I do. A single misread metric almost triggered a full mobile rebuild. Weeks of effort I aimed at a problem that was never there. My job is to catch this before the roadmap moves, to keep the numbers behind your product decision honest, so you invest in the right thing. If your team is about to make a big call on a single metric, that's exactly when a second set of eyes pays for itself. You can book a tracking review at my website. And if this breakdown was useful, subscribe. I publish new real world cases like this every week. Thanks for watching.